This might be a little bit too sensitive for me, but, you know, I have a son, and when I hear people from positions of great privilege where they can, you know, afford nannies and a lot of help, go on and on and on about the working mum thing. Yes, it's time away from your kid. I definitely understand that aspect, but it's not the same as the working mum idea that, you know, a lot of the rest of the world has to deal with. And so she really leans into that a lot. And I think, well, is this a struggle that you have a lot? You do have help, and also you are at home a lot. I don't know. I find that a little bit grating.
I don't even want it to feel like we're beating down on everything she does. I genuinely wish her all the success. You know, she has. Whenever I read stories about her and her getting divorced, I just think that's horrible. I don't want her to get divorced. They have children. I wish her every success, but I feel sad that she feels the need to be this thing that she's clearly not. She's not a chemist, she's not a physicist, and that's fine. Sometimes it's okay to just be pretty and to have good fortune in life and to ride that wave.
I think that I was always hopeful that when she leaned into, as I've said on the show a number of times, when she leaned into the lifestyle space, clearly she loves that. I thought maybe we're going to see a more relaxed, casual, real Meghan. I really hoped that would work. I thought that was going to be a good idea for her. I have been disappointed by the output because you're right. It's not about sitting here and bashing on her. We wanted, you know, you want people to be happy and have success. And I think it's just not quite landed for a lot of people, particularly now the show's wrapped up.
Well, success-wise, we're going to get a third series, we think, of her cookery show.
Which is baffling.
Have invested so much in her as a kind of future product for them. And we've got Ted Sarandos, we believe, and I'm not sure if it's a direct quote, but they believe that Meghan is a superstar. And we've had previously people calling her a grifter. Which do you think is right?
So I think Netflix are at the point where they thought if back in 2020, which is when I think they offered them the deal, they just found a room and put a bunch of cash in it and set it on fire, that would have been a better use of their money. I don't think they've got any value for money with this couple, which is fine. I don't blame them. It was obviously a business risk taking them on, but I think a year or two...
Meghan the series.
Yeah, exactly. I think 2 years into it, they realised they'd sunk money into the world's most boring couple that needed like a lifetime supply of money to pay for their security. I think that's what it boiled down to. And Harry actually said that. He said, you know, I was offered this and I needed to pay for my family's security.
But that's Harry. Meghan is who they're investing in. It's Meghan that
well, but there's nothing there. She's very, like, again, I'm not saying this to be horrible. She is not an entertainer or an entertaining person. There's not much personality there. I never learn anything from her. I love lifestyle shows. I watch them every day. I didn't learn anything from hers. And she's just not entertaining. She's not a fun person to be around. You don't think this is the person I want to go to the pub with to have a pint with, because it's just like, it's going to be vocal fry and like, oh my God, the newspaper. It's very clear that she is not box office in terms of entertainment quality. But that's okay.
I was going to say, look, if you're going to take a step back, right, it's no surprise that she is, I think, at her most unpopular point at the moment in England. So it's not a surprise still that, you know, a lot of people here didn't take to her the product that she's been putting out. But it's not just that. When we're speaking of the possible third season, it's not just that. It's the fact that, you know, major Hollywood industry publications like The Hollywood Reporter and Variety, I mean, they were the ones writing the negative reviews about Meghan, where traditionally, you know, you would think that they would probably be a little bit more favourable. And so that's what I'm saying. When you take that step back, it appears to be across the board. They weren't particularly well received. The show wasn't particularly well received, which is why I was surprised to hear about season 3. Again, not because, you know, a lot of the people that, you know, she's a very polarising figure, obviously, but the fact that it was so critically slammed made it very surprising that they would invest beyond season 2, which I believe had already been filmed.
Well, Netflix, they are keen on her. They are investigating. I think it goes deeper. Their relationship goes deeper than we kind of really imagine. As ever, with the brand, I think we're now told that they're not going to restock.
Yeah.
Oh, this is from the podcast.
Yes, that was a topic on the podcast
where she mentioned that, I might not restock this year.
She might go into a rebrand and I kind of veer into fashion, for example. As ever isn't just going to be.
This just plays into the whole thing. There's just, where's the direction? Where are they going? They're just throwing mud at a wall and hoping something
it's low risk. She's literally losing nothing. This is, when I tell you, this is the same strategy that every woman with a very wealthy husband who's just pumping enough into her business to keep her happy. This is exactly what's happening. When Sue was saying, they had an initial launch and they did really well because they sold out. Well, how many units did you actually sell? She could have sold 50 jars, and if it sold out, it's sold out. And that's a success in her book. We don't know anything. We don't know the metrics of this business. And it's clearly in its infancy. It's still finding its feet and all of that. She doesn't really know what she's doing. Again, which is fine because you can hire people that do. But to go from selling jam and shortbread and all of that, which is reportedly sold out, to not restocking and then kind of having this haphazard view of what you're going to do next and potentially go into fashion, she doesn't know what she's doing. It's just a hobby. But that's fine because she's rich. and hot.
Right, we've just got time for our quick fire questions. Okay, so take a deep breath. Following Meghan's second stab at a podcast venture, but a successful sold-out merch line, what do you think Meghan should do next as part of her lifestyle brand as ever?
I was going to say fashion, but you actually said something before that's made me think this would be a better idea. I think she should do children's clothing as part of... It would make more sense for her rolling the kids out more on Instagram. But also, I can see that's, you know, if you go walk down Kings Road and whatever and you see those beautiful little boutiques, I can see there being quite a high-end children's clothing line for her Montecito set with kids. I think that would be possibly an area that fits with what she's doing.
And I think she should kind of lean into... If she's not going to give us a tea and be salacious and spicy like I like her to, I want her to be, lean into kind of the children's clothes, something to do with theatre, so like leaning into her own professional background. So as ever, like sort of theatre or acting books or classes or retreats or whatever. She can actually do things that doesn't involve her having this really curated view. She can just be the face of a brand and then have really community, child-friendly things like clothes and acting and all of that. I think she can lean into that. That'd be
You want a podcast that is basically confessions of a...
Oh, I want the real tea. I want all the juicy stuff.
Just to find out her waxer we heard
I want to
earlier.
know your waxing lady. I want to know what perfume you wore, what was the lingerie on the first date. I want to know all of it.
Maybe in a book, if she writes a book one day.
I don't want to read a book. I want to hear them because I want to dig more.
Okay. Off the back of Trudeau's gazelles, what has been your favourite instance of off-duty or laid-back fashion from a royal?
Oh, I know exactly what it was. It immediately came to my head. Princess Diana with the bike shorts and the Northwestern jumper, the sweater and the runners. That is, I think it was 1996. There's a photo of her. I think she's leaving the gym. Absolutely iconic, to the point where I think Hailey Bieber recreated it for Vogue a few years ago, which was kind of weird. But the point is that it became this iconic moment. And she did that. She'd have the college sweatshirts and the bike shorts, and she looked so cool.
I've got a story about that, by the way.
Were you there?
No.
I was about to say.
The
And she's carrying a Gucci bag. That's part of it.
The photographers, because they used to make a lot of money selling pictures of Princess Diana, every time she turned up to Chelsea Harbour Gym, she started wearing the same clothes every day so that the pictures wouldn't look new, so they wouldn't make money off it. That's quite clever.
That's really interesting.
That's quite clever, yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to go Princess Diana as well, but that little black dress. I think
the revenge dress.
The revenge dress.
That is spectacular.
Because I just think, like, I tell the boy, I'm like, if you mess up, I'm wearing that. Shorter. 2 inches shorter.
That was a stunning dress.
Yeah.
And finally, what names would you give to the Wales' 4 new puppies?
1, 2, 3, and 4.
You're not a big fan of
Absolutely.
dogs?
No, I just can't be bothered with names. Because if I give you, like, exotic names, then I have to remember it.
Fine.
But also, as we said, I don't know if they're keeping them or not. You've got to be really careful not to start naming the pets if you're not going to keep them, because the kids will get very attached. They should give them little titles, though, like, you know, Earl, Dukey, things like that, like cute stuff.
Marquez.
Yeah, get a bit, have a bit of fun with that. But again, unless they're keeping them, don't name them.
Well, if they keep them, in theory, you have one for Charlotte, one for George, one for Louis, but then you've got the spare.
We know what happened to
Just call it
spares.
Harry. Just have to call it Harry.
Oh my gosh, absolutely amazing.
Right, thanks so much, guys. That was awesome. That's all we have time for on this week's Royal Exclusive. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments as we do read them, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'll see you next week.